Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel. That is the R in the RK Stumbling Bear, and I'm a reader and a writer. And I am back to do another roundup of thoughts for the self-published science fiction contest. Now, before I jump into the books and my thoughts of them, I just want to say that it is now March. We are all in the process of turning in our scores, figuring out the semifinalists, and the information that I have been given is everybody's semifinalists will be announced the 26th of March. Around that date, that's when to really tune in and be like, okay, what are the semifinalists? So I will be back at that time to say what are the semifinalists moving on from my team, Ground to Major Tom, and what are the new books that we will be reading, because that's the same time I'll be finding out. All right, so jumping into the books and my thoughts, and I am going to start with Enigma, which I began in January, finished in March, and I have had a hard time with this one. I feel like looking at the synopsis, this is one that should have worked for me. It had my certain buzzwords, but in the execution, it did not. And this is personally me. Everybody else on my team basically loved this. What I am sharing is just specifically me. So I found the main characters, Britta and Crystal, to be basically working on the same trips. So they're the same character in two different situations. And I found that I did not care about this personality. I felt like they both were the not like other girl trope, that they both would use their feminine wiles, very quick to jump in bed with a guy while not knowing him very well, having a clear mission, but then getting distracted by little things about the other characters around them. Also, the writing of this, there's very much like plot conveniences. I think at one time Britta is talking to a group of monks who say, oh yeah, we always come at this time so we don't see this other group, and she thinks in her head, oh, I'd like to meet this other group. And then very next chapter, that other group walks in while the monks are still there. And I'm like, I call bullshit. The monks plan when they come. They know this other group's schedule. No, they're not just going to show up all at the same time. That is too much of a plot convenience to be believable. I would definitely call this a space opera, which again is my buzzword, because it is working on a bigger galactic scale of vision for this. And I would also say that this is a science fiction fantasy, because Britta ends up on a world where people have magic. And yeah, I'm sure there's a scientific reasoning for why they have magic, but it didn't compute for me. I am definitely going to be linking my fellow judges, their reviews, so that you will get to see what I was not able to. And you'll be able to decide if this is something that is right up your alley. Then I have Yours Celestially by Al Hess, and this is a science fiction romance, but not in your usual style of sci-fi romances. If you've read like Rachel Bach or like Jessie Mihalich, not like that. This is more of like a sweet romance, and it's set in a like near future world, Earth-like world. I'm not even sure if it's on Earth or if it's like another planet entirely, but it's similar enough to Earth, because he did talk about different ethnicities in this for characters which are Earth-based. But you don't really need to know where you are to get what's going on. The main plot of this is Metatron, who is a guardian angel of a resurrection program, has fallen in love with one of the souls that is waiting to be resurrected. And it just happens that the soul that he's fallen in love with is one of a few that are stuck in what they call limbo due to a court case. Usually souls are only in there for a short period of time. But our main character really is Sasha, who is a newly resurrected couple. I think 7 months ago, newly resurrected, but he's one of the few that was resurrected right before the court case shut limbo down. or is keeping people in limbo. And he can feel Metatron's love for this other soul, Rodrigo. And he wants to help Metatron because Metatron's love sickness is actually physically affecting him. And he meets other people that also can physically feel Metatron's love in different ways. Like someone else that feels like a toothache. For Sasha, it's his stomach. And so he gets a job at the Resurrection Company in order to get close to Metatron. And yeah, some bigger things ensue. He meets a guy there who he finds annoying, but is willing to help him in his quest. So this is, like I said, this is a sci-fi romance, sweet sci-fi for both stories. Very much a queer universe, very much a neurodiverse universe. If you like those things, I would say pick this up. And if you'd also just like to see a company that is not toxic to its employees, also pick this up, because the Resurrection Company is very much a positive place to work. I really enjoyed being in that environment. So I read Our Lady of the Ardalix. Ardalix, I always mess up that word, by Andrew Gilsmith, fellow Missourian. And this is an interesting setup where Terry and Ardalix shows up at a basilica in Nigeria near his house, and he's possessed. And Ardalix is an AI robot. And so it brings in the whole question, do robots have souls? Is this a real possession, or is this somebody has hacked into this AI system that's supposed to be unhackable? And a priest called Seraphine is sent to go find out. So this very much mixes sci-fi and religion. I know nothing about Catholicism or any of the other religions that we meet in this book. So for me, I'm going with it. But I like the sci-fi elements. This is very much a world in the future. It kind of, it's like post World War III. We still have religion in the future. I kind of like that idea. But the governments are more consolidated. I thought that was an interesting concept. Better airplanes, AIs that can more interact with humans, but at the same time, AIs aren't taking over society. So I kind of find that this is intersectional with the whole conversation of AI and creativity. No, the author did not use AI while writing this, but it does have an AI who discusses rasa and art. Thought it was an interesting piece to the conversation. Yeah, we meet some very interesting characters along the way. I think the biggest thing that was kind of pulling me out is the farther we get into the book, there were just very obvious grammar mistakes. I think this book really needs another pass by a copy editor, just because in some places like words are transposed, or it's the wrong spelling of a word, or the word's missing. But in context, you know what the word should be there. It's little words, it's not the big major words, but it's enough that as I'm reading carefully, I'm noticing it, and it's kind of jarring me out, because it's towards the end of the book, it's like one per page. So that was the only thing that kind of messed with me. And then the last quarterfinalist that I needed to read was St. Elspeth by Wick Welker. I read Dark Theory last year by him, and this is so much shorter. Dark Theory was 800 pages, and this one is 393, so half a book, basically. No, this is a full and complete book in and of itself. So this is following Elspeth, who is a doctor in a post-apocalyptic San Francisco. All these cities are called Neo, whatever the city name is. And this was a hard buy. your hard premise to sell is Elspeth is the only doctor in her colony of like 1,500 people, and has been for the past 20, 30 years, but has a bunch of nurses and is running the only hospital. And for that, I'm just calling BS. I don't believe it. I don't believe that this society would just be like, oh yeah, we're fine with one doctor. And it's only recently that she has a doctor student, a medical student. Though other people have tried, they just have decided not to continue onwards. That's very much a plot convenience for this book. So once you get past believing or not believing that, just say that, okay, for the sake of this book, it's true, go forward, and then everything works really well for me. Elspeth is talking to the mayor about she needs more medical supplies because some of her medical supplies have gone missing. Ends up the mayor and his son, who have some guard groups, they've taken supplies for themselves without checking with her. So she's like, well, now I need these other things, and convinces him to go on a mission. His son, the son Reese, goes with her and some other people, and they end up finding that there's some politics between the other cities. There's Sacramento, LA, and San Diego. And San Diego and LA are fighting, and San Francisco and Sacramento are kind of getting drawn into their politics. And then the other layer of this are the aliens. The aliens are kind of what caused the post-apocalyptic thing because humans freaked out and started bombing each other. But the aliens are still there. They survived. And now Elspeth and her people find a dead alien. And they are then studying the alien and trying to figure out what makes this alien work or not work. And it turns into a first contact situation. And they find out why the aliens came to Earth and what they're doing, because they've been pretty reclusive. So this is just a fun ride. If you like post-apocalyptic or dystopian, this is probably going to be 100% right up your alley. I do think that Wick Welker wrote a female character extremely well. I really enjoyed Elspeth. Also, Elspeth is an older character. As I'm getting older myself, I love that I'm finding books that have older characters. And also it has a commentary of dealing with trauma and how people will put aside dealing with their trauma when they feel like they are in survival mode. So if you've never read a Wick Welker, yeah, I would say pick it up. Like I said, this is much shorter than Dark Theory, but Dark Theory is really good as well. So if you have read any of these books, I would love to know what your thoughts are. And like I said before, I should find out what the next books I'm reading on the March 26th when all the semifinalists are going to be announced. So stay tuned. Thank you. Have a great day.